What's going on, Lucky Lefty Nation? This is the wrap-up show, of course, on the Lucky Lefty Podcast YouTube channel. Notre Dame, 34-6 winners over Navy. The Midshipmen, they come in. As we told you during the preview show, you probably wouldn't get a lot of pushback from this Navy team, this edition of Navy. But some things to talk about. There was a lot of complaining on the Lucky Lefty Pod Twitter handle as the game was going on. A lot of fans were talking about Jack Cohen and some other things. So we'll get to that. One of the most interesting things before we get into that, let's just go ahead. Jack Cohen was 23 of 29 for 269 yards, one touchdown, QBR 45.7. Kyron Williams, 17 carries, 95 yards, two touchdowns. That second touchdown was a thing of beauty. Man, you had the cutback, you had to put the foot in the ground, you had the spin move, you had the broken tackles. He gave you just about everything that a running back should show you in a full football game. He gave it to you in one run. And then Logan Diggs, 8 carries for 59 yards, 7.4 yards a carry. That young man with a touchdown. He's getting better and better. And it's good for him to play behind Kyron and to have someone that he can watch and model his game after, especially having similar patience in the running game. So those are the most important stats. Brian Kelly did speak to the media. We'll bring up some video of his press conference. One of the things he talked about is how injured they were. You saw J.D. Bertrand playing safety and running the alleys, specifically against this type of offense. It's very, when you have a guy like JD that's always around the ball, that's really smart for Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly to put him in the alleys, which gives him more opportunities to get to the ball in this type of offense, because the majority of the time he's going to be right there, especially when they run to the outside. As we said before, when you're facing Navy, you have to stop the fullback first. And early on, big guy, you and I, we were texting back and forth, and we weren't too happy with Kurt Hinish initially. But boy, oh boy, man, as the game went on, Kurt Hinish started to make plays in the run game and in the pass game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good things from this game. Obviously, J.D. Bertrand being your best tackler, getting downhill and being in position to make those plays, he was crucial to the game. I think we talked about that. Him, how crucial he was being to this game, specifically with our injuries, with 14 being out, and a younger secondary. So him coming up big is something that was expected, and he stepped up to the plate. Another guy, Kyron Williams, we knew the game on offense was going to be big for him, and he also came through, especially pushing through that rough period in the first half and getting through in the second half where we put up 20-something points. So those two runs were beautiful, man. Just a thing of beauty, showing his ability to run in and outside the tackles, and being the workhorse in the point earner for this offense and this football team. So seeing our guys do what they do best. Avery Davis had a couple great plays he made out there. Braden Lindsey got a nice little play there for a 2-point conversion. So, and see the young guys, Logan Diggs got a touchdown today. So seeing those guys in there, man, it was really impressive. But like you said, man, there was some. It never looks like it should sometimes on offense and for some of our team wins. But thank goodness we got a good defensive coordinator, great defensive coordinator, Mark Freeman, holding it down on the defensive end with those young guys, getting them in there. And then, like we said towards the end, just talking about how the offense and the defense were able to come together, and with the injuries were kind of stacking up on us. That usually happens throughout a season. Injuries usually bite us at the wrong right time. But what us being able to have the next man mentality, we're able to show a lot of good flashes of things and just making things happen.
Yeah, coming into this game, no one knew, but Brian Kelly talked about it after the game. Drew White actually tore his PCL during the week, and they didn't know if he was even going to be able to play. And that middle linebacker is very important to stopping that fullback, along with the triangle of your nose tackle and your defensive tackle. And they did a great job of that. It's very rare But this is the type of game where you can see it, where your nose tackle leads the team in tackles with 10, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. That's
Yeah.
just the day that Kurt Heinrich put together. And then JD Bertrand was right there, 9. He's always around 9, 10, 11, 12 tackles a game. I don't care if you put him in safety. I don't care if you put him in outside linebacker, rover. Man, he just smells the ball. Wherever it is on the field, he smells it, he runs to it, and he's very good at getting guys on the ground. So one of the things that we text each other during the game, and I want you to really go into it. You say, this is the perfect game for Tyler Buckner.
Yeah, I think this was the perfect game for Tyler Buckner. We knew what we were going to get from Jack. I talked a little bit about it in the previous show, how he's going to be able to show veteran leadership in a game that we should win and expectations. But, being the guy that he is, I also knew that there would be things that would show some of his flaws, being that we were going to be in such an advantage in this game. And some of his showed, missed some open throws, got sacked with 3-4 man rushes sometimes. It looked a little indecisive. So when the pressure's not on, he relaxes, and when he relaxes, he doesn't play his best game. And this is why I said it's a great game for Tyler Buckner to really get in there. One, because we knew we were going to win. And two, this was the offense where we had to get those first downs and being able to stay on the offense. So it requires running the football a little bit more and getting Tyler comfortable in a full set against a defense that is a good challenge. But for us, we should have been able to put all those points a lot earlier in the football game. But also, too, is that Tyler has the ability to extend plays. This is a good thing for him to really dive into a full game plan, getting prepared for next year. But, he did go in there sometimes, make some good plays, but still, if we're just talking about building for the future, especially with guys getting injured and being in a tough position at where we are in the rankings, this would be a great time to get those young guys in there and get some continuity. Kevin Austin made some big plays today, but this is an expected win. So it's a lot of good things, but the struggles early on just kind of is what we always have.
Yeah, Kevin Austin can make those fingertip spectacular catches. We just want to see more consistency from the kid, because if he becomes consistent, he's going to be a problem for teams every week. So Brian Kelly met with the media after the game, and he talked about the slow start by his offense and why Tyler Buckner got in the game and was able to change things and get some momentum going.
We started to run him a little bit. There was a little bit more read at the line of scrimmage. So we were a little bit more deliberate. And obviously hit a big, slant versus cover 0, down there. It's just been a natural progression of getting him into the game. I don't know if there was anything magical in that sense other than, we were running his package and it was a change up, from that standpoint.
I wasn't too happy with Tommy Reed's clean sheet early in the game. I thought he was a little bit too cute. I thought we could have lined up and just really dominated them physically from the jump and used different formations to really run the ball. I thought he got a little bit too cute. If they're going to be dropping 8, you have to run. You just can't bring Kyron out of the backfield as your safety valve. And against that drop 8, you got to run some crossing routes, some other things. First 2 possessions in key situations, he was running stop routes and then out routes against a drop 8 with a quarterback who really doesn't have confidence to let it rip. He has to see it open. So I just really thought that was interesting, and then he went for it on 4th and 2, and Jack has to read the fact that, look, I got to get the ball out quick. And once again, I was confused by the routes because it looked like they were trying to run a screen to the right side. I really couldn't see what they were trying to do. But Kevin Austin ran out, and it looked like the receiver outside of him was coming inside. And I'm like, if that's what you're running, like get rid of the ball. Like, why are you holding on to the ball? No, you can't outrun anybody. They
Yeah,
out
that's just
you up front.
yeah, and those are just two cute plays, and when it's too much going on, you get indecisive when it really could be a lot more simple. And when you're playing teams that you're expected to win, sometimes you can get overzealous as an offensive coordinator or play caller because you want to just do everything. You want to just make the big plays. You want to
Mm-hmm.
push it downfield. You don't want to. You sometimes get ahead of yourself because you see so many things on film that you like and you love, and you think of all the players you want to get involved in. So it
That's
can
the
sometimes.
frustration of playing Navy, right?
That's the
They make
downside
you
of playing.
they make you think you're not going to get enough opportunities, so you start to like play faster than you
And you
really
play,
have to.
you start reaching, playing a little more desperate. But those are the
Yeah,
things also that you just rein it back in, and you,
yeah.
you you get a couple good drives in, and then you get back on track. But I don't blame Tommy for his creativity. If anything, keep putting the foot on the metal for that. We shouldn't lack in that area because that's what keeps us stagnant in bigger games.
Yeah, I'm all for creativity. I just
Okay,
thought,
give me a second. What's up?
yeah, yeah, you know, creativity is one thing, but when it comes to what they were trying to do, I just really felt like going ahead and being simplistic in a game like this was the way to go. Because physically, as I said before, this is not one of Ken Nuamatiolo, one of his best teams. And if they had just lined up different formations and motions, set different fronts, caught Navy, we talked about it in the pre-show. Look, the preview show we talked about, they're going to shift late. They're going to try to confuse you. They're going to give you different fronts. And a lot of times, you look like they're bringing blitz. They did the drop 8 and the cover 2 pretty much all game long. They were in drop 8, cover 2. So when you think about that, it's amazing that you get that type of offense. You could have gone to a lot of draws. You could have gone to a lot of quarterback draws. Even when Tyler Buckner came in, you saw they were bringing the safety down to be responsible for Tyler Buckner. If he happened to pull the ball, defensive end would crash in to chase on the give if Kyron took the ball or whoever was the running back. You have to counter that and just go quarterback run, lead lead quarterback run power or quarterback draw to the right side because they're down an extra man because they have him trying to play the quarterback, expecting him to come to the left side of the formation. So, I just thought, even though Tommy Rees was trying to be creative early on in the game, I just really thought that was the type of game where you don't get creative. You're bigger, you're better, you're stronger. You line up, you get them different looks, and you play power football and then play action and get big plays. That's really what I was looking for from Notre Dame and Tommy Rees early in the game. So once again, Tyler was 1 for 1 for 11 yards. Brian Kelly talked about it. The big pass against the cover 0 down in the red zone to Kevin Austin. Kevin Austin almost broke the tackle and got in for the touchdown. Kevin Austin had a great catch on the fly route from Jack Cohen. Fingertip catch. Got 1 foot inbounds. He had a great game. When you look at this kid, once again, it's just consistency. That's all we want to see from him. 6 receptions, 139 yards, a longer 70 yards, and 1 touchdown. And, that 70-yarder right before the halftime to give Notre Dame that 17-3 lead going into halftime. And it was the same halves, both halves, right? 17-3 in the first half, 17-3 in the second half. Offense became stale there in the third quarter. And we get the safety. We come back, get the touchdown, the 2-point conversion along with that field goal to score 17 points. The offense, they definitely left some points on the field, right? I think we can all agree with that. This Notre Dame offense had an opportunity to put up 50 points. And let's talk about Jack Cohen because Jack Cohen, in my opinion, had a couple of big opportunities early in the game, in the passing game. One was pointed out by Drew Brees in the red zone, where he missed Kevin Austin in the slot. If he had immediately looked to the right, if he had immediately come back, because they were running 4 verticals against that zone, against that cover 2, Kevin Austin was wide open in the end zone and he missed him, and he had the time. Eventually he ended up checking it down to Kyron Williams, who ended up getting doing a somersault, almost landed on his feet on that particular play, which was crazy. But Jack Cohen definitely missed some opportunities early that could have had the lead even bigger than it was at halftime. And I expected this team to score 40 points against Navy. Once again, they left points on the field. They should have had 45 to 50 points easy in this game if they're efficient. And then, you know what? The things that irritate me, and once again, we talk about the offensive line play, which was very decent today. But you can't, this irritated my soul, man. You can't come out at home. I understand, well, I don't understand it, but I could be more lenient if it's on the road versus a hostile crowd. But you can't come out with your senior right tackle, first play at your stadium, and get a false start. That stuff like that cannot happen, man. That
Yeah,
can't
and it
happen.
just shows, and that just shows that it's something missing within that click of the offense. It's something missing in the click of that team on what makes us the difference between us and Georgia. You watch it. I keep bringing up Georgia. We talk about it a lot, but Georgia today was down 3-0 in the very beginning. They ended the game with them just having 3 points. So it just shows that there's a toughness to that team. And for us, we got to be mentally locked in. We're
Yeah,
just not mentally locked in, even on the games we're supposed to smash a team. And, I think it just comes to getting comfortable with just overall how we just have success year after year. Fortunately enough, our comfortability still gives us the win. It's just frustrating to watch outside of some other teams that struggle that are really good and lose. Even when we struggle, we're not falling out of the top 25. We're not putting ourselves in a position where we're at a disadvantage on the schedule. Is usually our 1 or 2 losses and a bunch of games we win, but it's just tough to watch. So for us, that mental focus has to be there. We got to get comfortable. We got to get uncomfortable again. We're just too comfortable. And right now, you look at the rest of the schedule, it's more comfortable games. So it could all be trap games at the end of the day.
man. I'm gonna be honest, man. Looking at the schedule and the games that I saw, that each team that we play, well, Virginia's on a bye. Of course, everybody has a bye before Notre Dame. That's just the way it
That's right.
seems like it's playing out this year. Brendan
Just the way it
Armstrong,
is.
more than likely, will play versus Notre Dame. He's coming off a serious rib injury that he sustained against BYU, so we'll see if he can give it a go. And honestly, it was going to be a barn burner if he was 100%. And let's just be real. If he's not 100%, and we're talking about ribs as a quarterback, the ribs, he might stay in the pocket and be able to throw the ball a little bit, but he's not going to run as much. He's
Yeah,
not going to be as mobile, playing with those ribs. So, like you said, man, they had a bye. Stanford looked awful against Utah last night. So that game, but we always know we go there as heavy
everybody's
favorites,
gonna play great. Yeah, everybody's gonna
and then
play.
they just that's their season, and they play
I
like
mean,
it.
look at North Carolina. I mean,
Yeah,
I told you Wake Forest was a sham, that they shouldn't have been ahead of us, which I thought Coach Kelly was upset about. But they proved us right today. They had a great game with North Carolina, but North Carolina put up 58 points.
yeah.
58 points.
I wasn't worried about Wake Forest being ahead of us because I knew that wasn't going to stay. That
Right.
wasn't going to hold. I wasn't worried about Wake Forest. I'm gonna be honest, man. The team I was worried about that ended up getting out of the way today and helped Notre Dame both ways. Huge loss by Michigan State. They drop back, but even more, it strengthens and makes the win by Notre Dame look even better because Notre Dame beat Purdue. Notre Dame beat Purdue, and Purdue beat number 2 Iowa at the time, and now they've beaten number 3 Michigan State. So, and we
Yeah,
said
absolutely.
before, Purdue has one of the best defenses in the nation. So now when you look at how the offense struggled, they definitely have one of the best pass rushes in the nation. So when you look at how the offense struggled, you come to understand, hey, Notre Dame was facing a pretty good defense. And, when you look at it, that's a really good win. That's a good win.
It is. It is. I mean, we want all our teams that we beat to win to give us some more credit on our strength of
Yeah,
schedule, especially seeing a team like North Carolina take down a number 9 team for what it was. Obviously, in Michigan State, we knew Michigan State. I told you about Michigan teams in general. We knew Michigan State was a sham, even though I love the running back and Kenneth
I'm
that
not
they
gonna
had.
call him a sham. I'm not gonna call him a sham.
I'm calling it a
If you
sham when it
watch, if
comes
you
to.
well put it like this, they're better than Michigan. They're a more complete team than Michigan.
But Michigan's
And
not great either. Michigan and Michigan State don't deserve to be ranked higher than
yeah,
this.
but I
And they
see this is my
proved
thing.
to it.
I bet you Michigan State plays a hell of a game against Ohio State. I bet you it's a close game. I bet you it's a hell of a game.
I don't think it'll be
Number one, because what Ohio State can't do, Michigan State can do.
That's true.
Ohio State, everybody that Ohio State has faced that has been physical with them and chosen to run the ball, they're successful because Ohio State can't stop the run. And Michigan State is going to run the ball against Ohio State. It's just a matter of whether or not their defense can hold up and keep them in the game.
Yeah, but
Nebraska was able to do it today.
Nebraska was able to do it today, but Ohio State in the Big Ten psychologically has an edge over all the Big Ten teams. You know, even the ones that sprout up,
Yeah,
Ohio State does a great job managing. Even when Penn State has Saquon, and there's a lot of hype behind that. Saquon popped off the first play, and that was about it. So when it comes to just the psychological warfare, Michigan teams in Michigan State and Michigan,
yeah.
they just fall in comparison to an Ohio State edge. I do think Michigan has a quality quarterback thing they got going on. However, I do believe that Ohio State is off and running and proving that they should be in the top 5. They're going to continue to win when it matters, and we're going to continue to push ourselves in a good position as well. So there's no way they can keep Cincinnati lower than 6 now.
Well, Cincinnati should be at least, if not in the top 4 or 5th.
Yeah,
They'll be
so that
fifth.
makes us 6. That makes
They'll
us
be
6.
fifth. But let's be real. I chopped in on that a little bit too. Cincinnati really wasn't impressive for the first 3 quarters against Tulsa.
Yeah,
They weren't.
and that was
That's what I.
that's strictly due to expectations. You got college game day there. You done seen all the documentaries about how
Yeah.
y'all go through in the season. Now y'all become relevant superstars. You done heard it on the camera. The kids talk about this the most attention I've ever got on a team. So
And that's regular stuff. That's regular every week stuff at Notre Dame.
and that's why we're consistent because we over the hype in that sense. So yeah, games like that are just pressure trap games that are built just like the Purdue game, but Purdue knows how to knock teams out when they're head in the clouds. So
That's their 20th. That's their 20th all-time win against a top 5 team.
Yeah,
Purdue,
like
they have the most. They have the most top 5 wins over top 5 teams of any program in NCAA history. That was number 20 today.
Yeah, and they proved it. I mean, they pulled out all the stops, the double trick play screen. Just it's something about it, man. They got something in that Purdue, that drum. They be banging that drum. Something come out that frequency.
We kept that drum outside. I'm glad Brian Kelly kept that drum outside. Yo, Jeff Brown said he actually got that play watching YouTube from a high school team.
See,
you know what I mean?
And the thing is, when you play in a top 5 team like that, you have nothing to lose. Because next week Purdue will probably go and lose to Nebraska or something, or lose to some, FCS school, because they only become relevant when the stakes are high, which is cool. That's why they got a lot of draft picks come out of Purdue. They get good players. It's just it is what it is. But for us, we're in the catbird position. We're just going to continue to climb the charts, just like a Drake song, and make it known that we're going to win the games we're supposed to win, even though we're going to win it ugly. But you can't count us out because we'll be 11-1 at the end of the day.
All right. A lot of youngsters got in the game today. Ramon Henderson has been playing. Prince Colley got in at middle linebacker. It was good to see him out there getting some run. And Xavier Watts is somebody they moved over from wide receiver, which would be interesting because unfortunately we saw a non-contact injury there in the fourth quarter on Kyron Williams' big run by Avery Davis. It didn't look good. He was on the sideline, towel on his head, and a lot of guys were coming over and just, kind of patting him on the shoulder pad, trying to get him up, get his spirits up. Brian Kelly, after the game, said they had some talks already about what they're going to do at wide receiver. They only have 4 scholarship wide receivers right now. So we don't know if they have a walk-on they feel like can come on and be part of the game plan, or if they possibly move Xavier Watts back to wide receiver for the time being. And I'm going to be honest with you. From what I saw from number 26, I think the kid can be pretty decent at safety. He was you talk about speed, covering sideline to sideline against the option. He was in the screen a lot against the Navy option, especially when they tried to get to the outside of the formation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just overall seeing those young guys play, that's kind of our secret sauce too. We're able to, weave younger guys in and get them some experience.
Yeah.
And, the cool thing about that is you see the side of recruiting. Recruiting shows in those moments how we had our hand in some good recruits that you may or may not have heard about, and to see them explode on the scene and make some good plays just sets a good precedent for the future, especially for a young team that we're retooling and developing as time goes on. It keeps getting back to my point of talking about why Tyler Buckner should, is in a good position to continue to get better stats and better numbers and going 1-for-1 for 11 yards.
Yeah, he should have gotten more tick today. Like you said, it was very interesting when you text that to me in the first quarter. This game was much more suited for him, especially the way, they played cover 2 the majority of the time and then drop 8. When you have guys doing that, I think it was in the red zone. When he came in, they strictly brought the safety down, specifically to be responsible for him if he pulls. And then they were causing a defensive end to just go inside every time. Yeah. So at that point in time, I'm like, okay, either we run the straight option to the left and put that safety in a bind to choose between Tyler and Kyron, or we just run straight quarterback power to the other side because they're already short of safety. That's committed on the other side.
And those are the type of gritty yards we probably could have used today too. I mean, he already running like Navy's quarterback anyway, so
yeah.
This would be like I said, man, like I agree with you. I think this is just a better suited game for Tyler. I think Jack obviously could play. We knew he could play well in this game, but it's just an interesting mode to see us developing younger talent through the season, but playing with a veteran guy when the guy behind him is most likely a guy we can see moving forward that, it's just more to be desired in a season like this.
Yep. All right. Brian Kelly was talking to the media, and he talked about his youngsters and specifically Xavier Watts and how he sees his role expanding on the defense.
Yeah, I think it's, it's a young man that we've been trying to get on the field. I thought he played pretty good. I mean, he ran the alley very well. He made a couple of really good plays late in the game. But just, again, trying to get him comfortable, to get him on the field in a more consistent role. Hopefully this kind of gets him moving, in that direction where there's some confidence building, other than just in special teams where we can get him involved more. This weekend, obviously, a team that throws the football as much, we're going to have all hands on deck, and this would be a great opportunity for him to play more.
Hey, cross your fingers. Cross your fingers, Notre Dame fans. He talked about Xavier Watts getting more action, more reps against a team that wants to throw the ball a lot more coming up when they go on the road to face Virginia. That's not why I'm asking you to cross your fingers. Cross your fingers, man, because we've said it. 14 might not be coming back.
Yeah,
that's real.
And as time goes on, I'm feeling better about him not coming back. So.
And it is what it is. You got your red pen out. Let's get to it early.
All right, let's get it.
Man, give me a grade for Tommy Rees as the offensive coordinator today.
I'm giving him a B because of a slow start. I thought he just was just too excited early on, just trying to be able to do too much and get too many guys involved. When he settled in with the guys and was able to get to our superstars like Kyron, get him going, it took care of everything else. So everybody else was able to get in there and make plays. And it was good to see it kind of come together in the second half as opposed to the first half. But overall, I got to give him a B. It's hard to give anything under a B when you win a game like that.
Let's start with the quarterbacks. As I said before, Jack Cohen had a decent game, 23 of 29, 259, 9.3. Definitely missed some balls, some opportunities early in the game to put more points on the board. Tyler Buckner 1 for 11 yards. Of course, his impact in the running game, what he was able to do, and move the ball and just change the flow of the game when he came in and give some juice to the offense. What's your grade for the quarterbacks today?
I'm giving it a C plus because with teams like that, we should start faster, especially if we're thinking about playing in the playoffs and getting to those heights. There's no excuse for us to have 17 against a team and go 3 and out and struggle early on. So it doesn't set a good precedent for the future. Even in the win, it doesn't look good. So if we gotta make that position look a lot prettier, just to give more confidence to the team itself that we can win the must wins and we can also blow out the teams we're supposed to blow out.
Yeah, once again, we talked about that lack of focus. It wasn't just Jack Cohen come out first play of the game, false start, things like that. Just shows like, okay, the focus needed for this game wasn't there in the beginning. And hopefully going on the road, you can't start off flat against a team that puts up points. You don't want to put yourself behind the 8 ball next week. So hopefully they get that rectified, come out to a better start or with a better start on next week. Let's go to the running backs. Logan Diggs, 8 for 59, 7.4 yards per carry, touchdown. Kyron Williams, 17 for 95, 5.6 and 2 touchdowns. What's your grade for the running backs?
Definitely giving the running backs an A. Once we got resettled and got Kyron the ball, got him going, and got to see him be special like he is week in, week out. It just trickles down to the other running backs in that group, and it's what makes the group stronger and starts defining who the next guy up is. And we got to see that with Diggs, get a couple of good runs in there and get a touchdown. So got to give them an A. They're obviously developing into the core piece of the team offensively for scoring points and very dependent on when it comes to getting the offense going and helps Jack and Tyler out a lot.
Man, the pass catches on today. Kevin Austin had a huge day. 6 catches, 139 yards, a touchdown, along with 70 for that touchdown. And then Kyron Williams had 7 catches out the backfield. Michael Mayer had 4. Got Lorenzo Styles Jr. a catch, and even Deion Colsey had a big catch, 1 for 31 on the short, quick post pattern. I thought they would come back to that. They did try to hit him on a goal pattern down the right sideline, but I think Jack threw the ball a little bit too late, because it was a mismatch all day. Their DBs were like at best 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, we're scoring 17 points in the first half.
Yeah, you got 6'4", 6'3", on the outside. Like, don't wait, just throw it up and give your guy an opportunity to go up and make a play.
Yeah, and that's just developing those young guys. They'll get there. They'll see those type of things, and these are the growing pains that I would expect Tyler to get more opportunities in a game like this because he's going to be there for these guys next year moving forward. So,
yeah,
I see it as a missed opportunity for those guys, for Tyler specifically, but. They're gonna be right on time and right on schedule for the next year moving forward, and even for later in this season when we get to towards the end.
So what's the grade for the pass catchers?
Pass catches, I'm giving them a B. Kevin Austin did a great job leading the group today, but I just want to see a little bit more consistency. Just overall us winning our one-on-ones and just continuing to survive in drives and keep drives going. and our receivers got to step up. Like all of this is predicated on us playing later for those January 6 bowls and being prepared in those moments. We shouldn't be step hip to hip next to corners for Navy if we're trying to beat Alabama. You know what I mean? So I just think future planning for that needs to be thought about. So I'm not giving an A until we're doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I definitely feel you on that. Let's go ahead and wrap the offensive side up with the offensive line. From a yards per carry standpoint, the run game was really good. We threw the ball 30 times and ran it 31 times. So that's balanced, very balanced. I thought it would be more heavily skewed in the run or towards the run against Navy, especially the way they were dropping in coverage. But what's your grade for the offensive line?
Giving them a nice B+. It's just good to see them do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, start off a little slow, but with those guys, as long as they're not putting us in positions where we have to require Jack to become Michael Vick and run around and make plays and Patrick Mahomes play to a victory. I like what they're on the track of and continuing to get better behind, Jared Allen.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. We definitely don't want to put Jack Cohen in a position to have to use his legs to make plays.
Right.
Yeah, man. That's a scary proposition. That's a scary proposition. Anytime he leaves the pocket, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, this can't be good. Especially, coming off that touchdown run, you know how cats get giddy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, I'm in my flow now. No. Get rid of the ball, throw it away.
And I think I do think he's pretty comfortable with his skill set. He gonna run if it's absolutely necessary, and he's running to keep his job because he had to show he can keep the wheels burning and you can keep Tyler at bay for a little bit while.
Yeah, Kurt Heinz on the defensive side of the ball, as he said before, 10 tackles from the nose tackle, defensive tackle position, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. Player of the game got the game ball from Brian Kelly. Defensive line did a great job today. They shut down the fullback, and pretty much once he got up 14, as I said before, Navy won a game 2 weeks ago where they didn't complete a pass against Tulsa, which is in modern day football. That's wild. That's wild that you're able to win a game like that. But you see how they had struggled, in the past game today, even. So the defensive line, what's your grade for them today?
I'm giving them an A just because of the challenge presented and for them to be able to equalize that out there and make some good plays on the D-line. Kurt Heinz, I know he has his moments, but he played well towards the second stretch of the game, and that's kind of what we want to do as a defense is be closers and be able to finish games strong and get guys rotated in there. So as long as we keep guys fresh in the midst of hitting this injury spell, we'll be all right. We'll definitely be all right.
And you know what? Just the defense as a whole, they played very well today.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah.
The familiarity of Marcus Freeman being familiar with this team from facing him every year when he was at Cincinnati, and Mike Elston the same way with the defense and his defensive line facing them at Notre Dame. They put together a well-managed game plan. They went to the 3-man front. We saw them in the bear front, 5-2 front. Sometimes they were single high safety. Sometimes they had 2 safeties back with the safety coming down into the box late at the snap. They just gave Navy a lot of looks, especially with both of their quarterbacks. There was a lot of confusion. Navy was really close to being to getting penalties for delay of game multiple times because they were trying to see what Notre Dame was doing. The clock was running down, and they had some difficulty with some of the adjustments that Marcus Freeman brought their way. So let's start with the linebackers. As I said before, Drew White playing on a torn PCL. We don't know his status yet for Virginia. Prince Colley got in the game, was able to make some plays. And, J.D. Bertrand, he plays safety and linebacker today. So he's a part of the grade for both of those units. But first, let's start with the linebackers.
Linebackers, I'm giving them an A just because there was a lot of times, like you said, where Navy looked a little confused and a little off kilter from what they usually do. We were stuffing a lot of things on first and second down, which is important in stopping their drives because we know we want to put them in a pass situation. I knew the game was going to be in our hands early when they threw a hitch on the first play and they totally messed it up. So I thought it was going to go good after that, and it did. And all those guys, like you said, played well today. And for the assignment, being that we know it was a dreadful and tough week, they made it look really easy, and that it's not an easy offense to defend. So the
No,
whole group you can give pretty much a B plus or an A to this week.
yeah, I agree, man. I think Kurt Hinish. This is funny. It was funny to me. He learned his lesson early, right?
Yeah,
Because on that fourth down play, when Navy was able to convert early in the first quarter, Kurt Hinish tried to split the center and the guard, but he jumped off his feet, and they drove that dude about 3 yards back.
yeah.
Like, man, you defensive tackle, you can't leave your feet.
No, not against us because
Especially not against Navy because they get so low.
we'll bear crawl you all the way to the end zone.
All the way to the end zone. He learned his lesson because he stayed on his feet the rest of the game, and he started getting into the backfield and being disruptive. So I just thought that was really funny early in the game. Like, come on, big man. Like, you don't get to leave your feet. This is the wrong sport to leave your feet. Even in basketball, they tell you to never leave your feet without making a decision. So Marcus Freeman, like you said, every other game is B plus A. You have to give him
A.
Yeah.
Gotta give him an A. This Navy team isn't like other years before, but
absolutely,
it's still Navy. It's still a tough offense, and Marcus Freeman is just getting his taste of defending different styles of offenses across the country, defining his resume, and he's just been looking better and better each week. So you got to give our guy an
A. I agree, man. And Wisconsin won big today. Number 21, Wisconsin. That makes Notre Dame's resume look better. Purdue's win makes Notre Dame's resume look better. So, if we inch closer, Notre Dame, if they can get within like the 7 or 8 spot this week, they may be in striking distance if some other things happen in the next coming weeks.
We should definitely be 5 or 6 this week, considering Michigan State losing, us beating Purdue, Wisconsin being ranked winning, and then North Carolina upsetting Wake Forest. I just see us shaking out close to 6 or 7 this week, or 5.
Yeah, it looks good too, right? Like if you watch the game, you see the score 34-6, and you're like, "Yo, Notre Dame really dominated them." And you compare it to the way Cincinnati played Navy. You say, "Okay, like Notre Dame handled Navy a little bit better than Cincinnati." And we watched the whole game, and we're sitting here like, "Man, that should have been easily 51-6."
And we should jump Cincinnati considering all the dominoes that fell this week. I think it would give us enough strength to, especially because we played the same team and beat them even worse.
Yeah. And I just think people need to understand, there was a lot of talk surrounding the slant this week when we talked about, or not from the slant, but from our college football playoff show, when, I talked about how the committee just viewed the Cincinnati loss as a bad loss. Like, that's the only thing you can take from the rankings. Like, that's a bad loss. Like, Notre Dame should not be losing to this team. And I echo those sentiments. At this point, and this level where the program is coming off of, 2 college football playoff berths in the last 3 years, there's no way you should lose at home to a program like Cincinnati. Like, I don't care how close they played Georgia in the bowl game. That shouldn't happen. So I'm in agreement, I'm in agreement with the committee. Like, that's not a good loss.
That's egregious.
It's not egregious, bro. You went the extra mile and called it egregious.
It's egregious only because we're a top 5 school of all time from our football program.
Yeah.
We're winning 10 games a year, and we get beat by a team that just got hot 2 days ago. Something that shouldn't happen. That's like if Georgia gets beat by Savannah State or Coastal Carolina. It just doesn't look good, even if they got the number 1 defense in the world, because you just like how.
Yeah, and then like you said, Cincinnati really hasn't played well or looked well since that Notre Dame game. Like they've struggled.
And
Like they were at
Kansas State,
home today. They were at home today and they struggled with Tulsa. I want to say Tulsa was what 2-6 or something like
yeah,
that.
it's the
And
media. The media got to Cincinnati, and now they feeling that heat. That's what pressure does to a team that popped out of nowhere and gets a lot of attention.
yeah,
You see it on their face. They playing not to lose, and that's a tough way to try to finish the season. Y'all beat Notre Dame. That should take y'all a good ways anyway.
well, once again, this is the Lucky Lefty podcast wrap-up show. I'm Shaun Davis. This is my guy, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire, featuring and brought to you each and every week by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey. Go to OnoraWhiskey.com to get you something to sip on as you watch the Irish each and every Saturday. I'm going to go ahead and just give you a quick lead next week. Take the over. I think the over-under is probably going to be somewhere in the range of 75 for this game, especially that'll depend on Brendan Armstrong and whether or not he's healthy, if he plays. But yeah, if you saw the North Carolina Wake Forest game, which was PlayStation 5 for real, it's like y'all cats out here playing 7-on-7. Like,
and that's the difference between us and everybody else. And this is my theory of why all our games look like that, is that our offense is really an NFL type of offense, to where there's a reason why you don't see NFL games out of control 56, 58. Is because your style of your play calling is you got to make reads and you got to really know what you're doing and do your job. And that takes a lot of practice and discipline that, some of these teams that are just run and gun, they don't last when it comes to that end of the season. They're always
for sure
getting upset. They're always losing games they shouldn't, because it's a flawed offense. When you're talking about a guy like Tommy Rees in a system like that we run at Notre Dame, it's not a system that you just run anywhere. You don't see what we run anywhere else. We're running 2 tight ends to going empty in the same game. So with us doing that, you're not going to have blowouts, but you're also not going to get blown out either, because it's going to take, time of possession and many other things. So, and for our style of what we like to play like, we're always going to be in the game and never too far out of it.
So, yeah, thank you to our Lucky Lefty Nation listener, Daniel Wade. Tulsa is 3-6 now with that loss today. I knew they were a bad team. 3-6, 2-6.
Navy's 2-6.
Yeah, Navy, man, took Cincinnati down to the wire in the fourth quarter. As we said before, like that Cincinnati loss, man, is just a bad loss. They played Navy, Tulane, and Tulsa, and literally have all 3 of those teams played them close.
Biting their teeth.
You know what I'm saying? That's like being at the gym. That's being at the gym and somebody wins on a lucky shot on game point, and you like, no, run that back. Because cats win like that and they like to lead the court. Like, I'm good, I'm about to go. No, run that back, fam. And that's the way Notre Dame and the players have to feel about Cincinnati. Like, you know what? Nah, we need to run that back in a bowl game or sometime. Get y'all back on the line.
Cincinnati hit us and we wasn't looking and ran.
Yeah, right. Threw something at us and then hit their hands behind the backs.
Yeah,
when we turned around.
So, man. But that's once a season, though. That's once a season for Notre Dame. That's the Brian Kelly era defined in the whole summary right there, is the fact that we love to get everything else but the game we need the most. 1 year was Georgia.
That's
1 year is Cincinnati. 1 year is the only game on the schedule that really matters. It comes down to one game every year that matters, and we either losing it, and it's always the one the off conference game. Not off conference, but when we schedule every third game of the season, or every first game where it's like a Texas or Georgia or we got Ohio State coming up. Those are the games that make our playoff season every year, And if we win or lose that one, usually it determines our future moving forward.
Yo, the Cam Hart Purdue tape lives once again. And what I mean by that, we've been talking about the job he did against David Bell. Man, David Bell today, 11 for 217 with a longer 53 and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, he was chopping. Yeah, he was chopping when he was in there. Yeah, he was doing that versus us.
David Bell has haunted every defensive back that he's faced outside of Cam this year.
Oh, that's
pretty
right.
much gave up one big play to him, and then for the rest of the game was like, nah, that's it.
That's it. And I like what Purdue does over there. I mean, it's a program that will surprise you when they're expected to.
They're a really good coach, well coached team.
Hold on one second.
Well coached team. So I mean, look, man, when you talk about Purdue, they're a well coached team. Jeff Brom, somebody that I would consider if the job in Notre Dame ever came open, he would get an interview from me to see what he's talking about. He made some bad choices as far as his defensive staff at Purdue the previous 3 seasons. He rectified that this offseason. Now he has a top 15 defense, has the best, arguably the best defensive end pass rusher in the nation. Some people can go with Kayvon Thibodeau. I wouldn't be mad at you if you said that. But Karlaftis, once again, dominated. Michigan State had to give 3 people to him on different plays to make sure that Peyton Thorne could have 2 to 3 seconds to throw the ball. Naylor was out. Jordan Reed was by himself today. Naylor was out for Michigan State. That affected the game plan, not having that big-time receiver who was leaving the nation with receptions over 40 yards or over 20 yards. That's a huge loss going into this game. And then basically in the second half, because if I'm not mistaken, Kenneth Walker III at halftime had a touchdown and I think 117 yards in the first half. And then the second half, Purdue made adjustments and they shut, the Heisman candidate down and just changed the total flow of that game and just locked the Michigan State offense down for pretty much the entire second half until they scored late in the game. So, man, Jeff Brom and that staff, they've done a tremendous job coaching up that team because they're playing with a walk-on quarterback at this point. And to be doing what they're doing to beat Iowa and then come back and beat number 3 Michigan State, you have to tip your cap and say thank you for making Notre Dame's resume look even better.
And on top of that, you just got to commend the fact that they're able to not only boost our resume, but that's a classic Big Ten matchup. Those are classic Big Ten games where, it doesn't matter if you're ranked. You're going to be in a dogfight each and every week in that conference. And they built similar. I mean, Purdue got some big boys too now, even though they may not reflect it on the records.
For sure.
They got some guys the same size as Michigan State. I mean, that's the conference itself. So each week, anybody can win except if you play Ohio State. Now, for us, it's just going to make us look better each and every week to see the teams that we are so frustrated about that we should be whooping, that go and whoop other teams. So we'll just keep cheering those teams on, man. That's the best part about our schedule. We don't have to cheer from a conference. We can just cheer for everybody we beat, and it just makes us look better at the end.
How do you think your 3 keys to a dub turned out today?
We didn't get 21 in the first half. We were able to get them off the field. And we had some explosive plays. Kevin Austin, 6 catches, 130-plus yards. That's a big deal.
Deion Colsey had an explosive play.
Yeah. So we had some. You can say we had some big explosive plays. I mean, Kyron's touchdown, the spinning, breaking tackles, jumping over guys. The kid is amazing. So 2 out of 3, I would say. Other than that, scoring points is just the thing we got to work on and continue to work on in the future.
I will say this. This is the best set of legs I've seen Navy have, special teams wise. Because the punter had a cannon. in his leg.
And the kicker was knocking him in.
The kicker definitely had a cannon. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
This cat Ken, Coach Ken went out and found him some special team demons.
Yeah. That's right.
That's one thing they can do is play special teams. They were uncharacteristic today as well because they averaged 4 penalties. And I think they ended up, if I'm not mistaken, I know they ended up with more penalties. They went over their average in this game as far as penalties. But
and you know what's interesting too? I really believe
6 for 44. 6 for 44 for Navy, 7 for 75 for Notre Dame. Yeah.
They were frustrated when you get in first and nothings and second and 12 and you running triple option. You really get nervous because you're like, man, we ain't getting no push. We ain't falling forward or nothing. So a lot of their check with me's became, look, we gotta dig down in the bag right now. They just stonewalling us on first, second down.
Fact.
We know we're gonna get penalties because we're mentally, especially in games we know we're gonna win by a lot. We're going to mentally take some blows, which is a shame, which we have to clean up. But in the bigger picture of it, to see another win and then to have another chance next week to make it close the gap to get to the playoffs, that's all we can ask for.
That's all we can ask for, and we'll talk about it a little bit more on the slant and Tuesday night when we have our college football playoff show when they have the reveal for week 2 of the rankings, which should be interesting. Right now, LSU is giving Alabama a game. And it's 2014 in the third quarter. I fully expect Alabama to come away with the win, at home. But, most people expected this game to be a blowout by now in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama is not the same Alabama from years before. But the good thing is they got a lot of residue. So they're still a tough team to beat. LSU's been playing better as the weeks have gone on. It's just like the Big Ten matchups. Those SEC matchups are just as difficult each and every week. LSU got not as big, but they got some big boys up there too, just like Alabama. It's just that, finishing the job and what Texas A&M did, finishing the job, gives a battery to every team, not just good teams, every team, because Texas A&M at that point wasn't the team that they are now. Obviously, they're ranked and stuff now.
Yeah, they played really well against Auburn today. They shut down Bo Nix and that offense and that running game. Well, we knew Bo Nix. Bo Nix had been on a 3-game streak where he played really good, especially in the second half of games. But they shut down that run game that Auburn wanted to depend on. And you have teams like Alabama struggling with LSU. You have teams like Oregon struggling with Washington. But Washington is a tough place to play. Like, don't front. Like, that's one of the toughest places to play in all of America is up there at Husky Stadium.
I never got a chance to play up there, but, I mean, Pac-12. I thought Oregon was a tough Pac-12.
It's one of the dopest stadiums. I have family that lives in Seattle, and the majority of them graduated from UW. And I remember going to a couple of games when I was younger. And my uncle had a boat, and we took the boat to the game and docked outside the stadium.
Wow.
It was crazy. So you see all these boats pulling up to the game, and then post game, everybody's chilling on the boats, music blasting. And Husky Stadium is built it's similar to Michigan Stadium to where it's built. It feels like you're going down into the ground, like you're going to tilt over and fall onto the field. And the noise just stays in the bowl.
Yeah.
And just doesn't leave. So when they have really good teams, man, it gets really loud. It's a fantastic environment. I say for a true college football fan, put it on your bucket list. Put it on your bucket list and get to it. It's a great atmosphere, so check it out. That's pretty much it, man. We did the clean sheets. We did your grades. We checked out how your keys to a dub came out. We talked about the landscape based upon what happened today in college football, where Notre Dame might land in the college football rankings coming up week 2 this week. So it's been an interesting week. We were hoping and praying that we could get through Navy unscathed. We pretty much knew we would beat them and beat them handily. We just wanted to get through Navy healthy, unscathed, and unfortunately, Avery Davis goes down with what seems to be a serious knee injury, non-contact. We're down to 4 scholarship wide receivers. And Brian Kelly said they have a plan that they'll talk to us about later in the week for that. And maybe they can bring Randy Moss back since he was supposed to be on the 93 team. Maybe he has some eligibility left.
Yeah.
4 wide receivers for the game. That's
we focus on Michael Mayer. I don't understand. Michael Mayer is our guy.
Well, you know the problem with Michael Mayer, man. The problem with Michael Mayer is Jack Cohen.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The problem with Michael Mayer is Jack Cohen, man. Because honestly, Michael Mayer is open at least 80% of the time.
A lot.
He's open 80% of the time. You know, Jack Cohen won't pull the trigger unless he knows for sure. Right? That's how he got the mantra that he's careful with the ball. Yeah, he's careful with the ball because he's not throwing it unless he knows for sure that the guy is open. The anticipation is like subpar. Leading the receiver to the ball or leading him to a catch, that's not happening. You know, he threw one tight quarter ball to Michael Mayer on the 3rd down where he ran an option route, beat the linebacker to the outside, caught it with his hands and got up the field. Like I said before, he missed Kevin Austin down the seam. We should have been killing these dudes down the seam. I don't care if they were dropping 20. We should have been killing these dudes on fly patterns, seam routes all day. The safeties weren't fast enough to cover, especially when they were in cover 2. Should have ate them up in the cover 2. And we should have ate them up in the cover 8 with crossing routes and seam routes. I see you shaking your head.
Look, we had Chase Claypool, we had Equinemius, St. Brown, Miles Boykin, DeVaris Daniels. We got guys. Will Fuller. I mean, we just got to throw Michael Mayer the ball, man. I mean, you know, at some point, he's going to come in handy for us, and hopefully when we play in those teams that we need to beat.
Yeah, man. You got to put him in position to go one-on-one against a safety, against a linebacker. You have to. And I don't know if they went away from it, putting him and Kevin Austin in the slot together. They went away from it.
Austin was wide open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Another week of figuring it out.
Yeah, on to Virginia, man. You get the dub. On to Virginia. That's all you can say. All right. This has been the Lucky Lefty wrap-up show, man. Notre Dame comes away with the I guess you can call it an impressive 34-6 win over Navy when you look at the score. But for us, we're like, it should have been a wider margin.
Yeah. Hard to win in college football.
Can't ask any more of the defense, though. Can't ask any more of the defense. You know, got your youngsters on the field, got them for some experience, and maybe should have seen more Tyler Buckner. But other than that, it was a boring game today.
Yeah, it was pretty tough to watch.
It was a boring game today, and like our guy Reggie Brooks said on the preview show, like until we get back to the point where our special teams are exciting, our defense is exciting, and our offense is exciting, and everything is popping off. Yeah, you know. 34-6, man. We'll see you on the slant Monday morning. And then Tuesday night for the College Football Playoff Ranking Show live, 6 o'clock. We'll be right here for the reveal on Lucky Lefty Podcast, Lucky Lefty Nation. Thank you guys for your support. Continue to do so. Share, like, and commit, man. Go ahead and subscribe.
Go ahead, man.
Subscribe button. We need
that. Go Irish, baby.
Let's do it.